the pronunciation.
Yeah, I think so. So we got, is it Mikel Martin?
Michele.
Michele Martin. Where's the guy? Alessandro Giordano. Hayden Stevens. Shears and
Cadrian. Yeah.
Shears and Cadrian. Who am I missing?
Alexander.
Shears and Cadrian.
All right, if I just get a little video of you guys saying, basically saying you're live, join on YouTube, join us on YouTube.
Do you want to go through, Brad?
Yeah, join us on YouTube. I can say link on capture. Don't just do YouTube. What do you want to do? Just do other stuff.
Am I saying it? You guys.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and smile.
Is this, what's this? Is this going live?
This is just for social.
But just pre-record?
Pre-recorded.
Yep.
Saying we are live now. Join us on YouTube for the official draw. Trying to think, is there anything I might be missing to say? That's it. Okay. Right, let's go.
Hello, welcome to the Cage Warriors Prizefighter draw, which will be going down in about 2 minutes. So please join us there on Cage Warriors Instagram or the MMA Fan Show YouTube page. We've got Brad Wharton here. How are you feeling?
He is. I'm feeling great. I'm very excited to get this draw underway. So yeah, don't forget to join us in just a couple of minutes' time.
Stu Whiffins here as well, but no one cares about it.
I'm out of here.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, guys.
Sweet. Are we standing?
Yeah, we'll be standing. Technically, I think we're live now, but
Hey.
we're not. Just come in, make yourselves at home. We've not started yet, but we thought we'd go live just to get you all in. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves on this sunny day, depending on where you are. I don't know. This isn't the start of it. So we don't know if it's weird we've gone live now. We want to make sure that we're all right. And technically everything's working very well. So we will be going live in 1 minute.
Your watch is faster than mine.
Your watch is all over the place. I'm looking at 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah. I keep it fast. I like to be on time, guys. Always be on time. Be on time. 2 p.m. We're going live proper.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Is this what we're seeing now? How's the sound? So we can play the sound very well. But like,
It is live. Mine is just as we say.
Yeah, mate. So where's the Insta going live from? That's going to go on that tripod, yeah? That's not on our phone, though, is it?
You ready to see that,
Yeah, I'm set up now. I'll just get it pushed up.
right. So once the Instagram set up, we'll take our positions and go. Yeah. I'm sure like for the stream, it's good for when we get in and we're done. And then we're done. So it's kind of like this is the beginning. It says 2 p.m. You let us know when you're good for you, and then we'll step in. You go first, right? Because that side of it. It's like walking up to get your Oscar. Don't trip. Hello and welcome to the Cage Warriors Prizefighter draw. It will all be going down on July 20th at Indigo at the O2. One night, 6 fighters, 4 fights. There'll be 2 semi-finals. There will be 1 reserve fight and a final. And I'm just going to ramble on now, Brad. You can just stand there and look pretty for a bit. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going to be going on July 20th. The fights themselves will be 2 rounds each. If it is a draw after 2 rounds, then there will be a sudden victory round to determine who wins the fight, who goes through to the final, or who wins the tournament. Semi-final winners will meet in the finals unless one of them is injured, in which case the reserve fighter, the fighter that won their reserve fight, will step in to the final to take on whoever their opponent may be. Why are they fighting? Well, there is $50,000 up for grabs. At least, I should say, $50,000 up for grabs, Brad, because there's a really exciting bonus incentive. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, £50,000, pretty good incentive in the first place. However, we've got the return of the Cage Warriors bounty hunter bonuses. Now, what that means is before you fight, you get to predict a round and method. So, for example, Blake, you could say, I'm going to beat Stu in the first round with a guillotine. A very likely outcome, I think, as we would agree. If you hit that, you get an extra 10 bags in your back pocket. So potentially for these guys tonight, they're going to fight in the semi-final, make a prediction, potentially get it. Fight in the final, make a prediction, potentially get it. That's potentially an extra $20,000 on top of the $50,000 prize money for winning the tournament. That's quite a wedge for a day's work.
That's, if my maths is correct, that is $70,000 up for grabs. And are they now a #1 contender after winning that tournament as well?
Absolutely. So the winner of this bantamweight tournament will fight whoever the Cage Warriors bantamweight champion is at some point later in the year. Currently, Liam Gittins holds the bantamweight title. So I think we can all agree any of these guys in this bracket versus Liam Gittins will be an absolutely fantastic fight. But yeah, that will all be revealed in due course. But essentially, they will be the #1 contender in this division.
And this isn't the only tournament that there's going to be over the next few months or year or whatever it is. This is obviously the bantamweight tournament, as we can see here, London, July 20th. But there's going to be other tournaments. What other tournaments have you got planned, or what's the next one after this?
So currently, we're planning to have 4 tournaments this year. The next one will be September 7th in Glasgow, and that will be the welterweights. So welterweight, again, has always been a really strong division for Cage Warriors. We've got Ian Gary fighting in the UFC this weekend, the former Cage Warriors champion who won his belt in a Cage Warriors tournament. So I think it all kind of links in nicely. But yeah, the welterweights will be on display in Scotland. Keep it locked to the Cage Warriors social accounts over the summer. We'll be revealing the fighters and revealing the brackets, etc., in the coming months.
Brilliant. Well, look, we have got some special guests lined up on Zoom. We won't be going to them just yet, but as many of the fighters as we could get are on Zoom with us now, and they're about to watch the draw. So let's talk about some of the fighters that are in the tournament briefly before we get round to the draw. Michele Martignoni, former bantamweight champion, didn't lose his belt. He vacated to pursue the flyweight title. That didn't work out for him, but he came back with a devastating KO of Raz Bring. Is Martignoni the favourite for this tournament?
I think by the time the odds makers have got their odds out, he probably will be. I think it's probably, he's going to be the odds-on pick purely because, he's a former world champion.
Yeah.
The skill set the guy's got is absolutely incredible. And he's risking a lot here. He's got a fantastic record. Smart money says he probably could have walked into a bantamweight title fight anyway if that's what he wanted to do. He fancied the tournament instead. And obviously, when you're a guy like Martin Yoni, you've got that knockout power. He's still young. Very, very talented. UFC are always going to be keeping an eye on guys like that. So he's taking a big risk here. But he said, look, I fancy $50,000. I think I can do 2 of these guys in one night. So you've got to love that confidence.
Absolutely. And another entrant in the tournament, the youngest entrant, 23 years of age, Shirzad Kadrian. He is an Iranian fighter that fights out of London, wrestler, grappler, 2 finishes in his last 2 fights. He does have a loss to one of the other participants in the tournament, and we'll get to that in a minute. What can we expect from Kadrian? Because, very, very young fighter, but looks like the ceiling's quite high for him.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast. And 23 years of age as well. The great thing about that is every time we see him, there's a couple more extra tools. He's always getting better, He fought Wesley, who's a much more experienced guy at the time, and you can't buy that experience. And Wesley just, maybe out-savvied him a little bit in that contest. Now, this is the great thing about these tournaments. We might be drawing those 2 guys out of the bag to fight each other in the first round, or they may meet at some point later in the tournament. So you've got to believe that Shirzad's got a bit of revenge on his mind, and you have to wonder how Wesley's going to react to that as well. Does he want to do that fight again because he knows he's won it before, or is the motivation going to be the same because he's already beat the guy? It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and another name that we are very familiar with on the MMA Fan Show is Alexander Loof, one half of the greatest Cage Warriors fight of all time. Very exciting, great chin, marauds forward, really hard to stop. That fight with Luke Riley was fantastic. As we say, Stu, I believe it was your pick for fight of the year in 2023. There's Stu Whiffen leaning in there. What can we expect to see from Alexander Loof in this tournament? Because anyone that he's drawn with, you think that's going to be a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. It's with Loof, it starts almost before he's got into the cage. His walkouts, much like teammate Tobias Arilla, are absolutely incredible. For the Riley fight, he came out with a balaclava on and he recited the monologue from Fight Club before he walked to the cage. If that doesn't get your blood pumping, considering the kind of fights he has as well, I don't want to drive viewers away, but turn off. You're watching the wrong sport. If that doesn't get you excited, this maybe isn't for you. I think you can match Love with anyone in this tournament, and you're going to get a banger somehow. Very, very talented guy, and such a fan-friendly style.
And another fighter that will hopefully, I think, be fan-friendly is Alessandro Giordano, Italian fighter that's a very, very good striker. Won his last fight, I believe it was against Sam Kelly, and the map went from white to red very, very quickly in that fight. It was a great performance from Giordano. He did lose his 2 prior to that, though, against good competition. But do you reckon there's any chance that fighters might be looking at that record and overlooking him? Or is he a bit of a dark horse in this competition?
Yeah, I think, we talked about perhaps an odds-on favourite before. I think Alessandro might be a bit of an outsider with the bookmakers. But I think if you overlook this guy, you're making a serious, serious mistake. This guy got Nathan Fletcher in his first Cage Warriors fight. So to me, that shows how highly the promotion thinks of him as a prospect. And he gave Nathan a very, very good fight. I think, he took a round off Nathan and kept it very, very competitive. Again, another close fight after that. And then we saw what he could really do against Sam Kelly, able to just constantly push the pace. The guy has insane cardio, and he was putting that same kind of effort late in the third that he was early in the first. And that's super dangerous for these tournaments where cardio can be king.
Absolutely. One of the other fighters we've got in this tournament is Aidan Stephen, fantastic wrestler, and he spent a lot of his career at featherweight as well. So do you think he's going to be able to utilize that in the lower weight class? Because if he gets hold of you, you're probably going to be in trouble. Yeah,
this is something that, Aidan's been looking for a long time. He fought at featherweight for quite a while, and he's been planning to make the drop to bantamweight. Now, not through any fault of his own, he had situations over the past couple of years where opponents weren't medically cleared due to complications with weigh-ins. I believe he lost one opponent on the day of the fight as well. So I ended up spending around 2 years on the sideline through no fault of his own. Super frustrating because he's made these weight cuts down to 135 for the first time. I just wanted to get his skill set out there, wanted to test himself. Now, we saw him make his 135 debut last time in Scotland, a very comprehensive, dominant decision victory. If he can pull that same kind of game plan off again, where he's on top, where he's not getting damaged, again, you don't want to be getting cut. You don't want to be getting punched around in the first fight if you potentially got to go and fight another 3 or so rounds afterwards. So that's a real key to victory for him.
Well, there's potential for fighters to do 6 rounds because you've got 3 rounds in the semi and then the final as well. We don't know what's going to be going on there.
And if there's a draw in the final, there will be a sudden death round essentially.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there's potentially scope to fight quite some time here. So not taking that damage, having the gas tank, super important. But also look for the knockout in the first minute. Get yourself out there, get yourself in the back, get yourself warmed down and relaxed, and have that extra time. There's so many different ways to approach this, and again, that's what makes these tournaments so exciting.
Absolutely. And last but not least, charismatic Brazilian fighter Wesley Maia, who fights at a GB top team under Brad Pickett. You could say he's had a bit of an up and down career, but of late, 3 wins on the bounce in Cage Warriors and the PFL Europe Series. He's got to be thinking he's going to be carrying that momentum into this tournament.
Yeah, and you can say Wesley's had some ups and downs, but look at the guys that he's fought. This is a guy who fought Jack Shaw in a stadium in Cardiff on 24 hours notice.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
A lot of fighters talk about I'll fight anyone, anytime, anywhere, but Wesley Maia is a guy who is about that life. He will actually do it. He will turn up on your doorstep and fight you the next day if he says that's what he's going to do. And that incredible self-belief, that's going to carry him a long way in a tournament like this. I think he said, when he was sort of signing up for this, he was like, look, I do 9 rounds in a row at GB top team on a Tuesday night, so fighting 2 guys is no issue for me. And that's exactly the kind of attitude you want to see.
That's absolutely mad. I cannot wait to see what happens. Look, we're going to try and get reactions from fighters after the draw is done, but without further ado, I think we should get on with the draw.
Let's do it.
Let's see what happens. So we've got the bag, we've got the bowl.
So just to make things clear, the first fighter that comes out of the bag will be in the first semi-final. The second fighter that comes out of the bag will be in the second semi-final. We'll then go back to the first, the second, and the final 2 fighters will be the reserves. And we're going to get Blake to draw the fighters just for impartiality reasons. So Blake, if you want to take our first fighter.
I'm just going to
have a rummage.
Just play with these balls for a second. And here we go. The first fighter, fighter 1 in semi-final 1, will be Shirzad Kadrian. I don't know if you can see that on there or if we want to get that grabbed on the Cage Warriors Instagram. The writing is very small, but I promise you, Shirzad Kadrian will be fighter 1 in the first semi-final. Now, fighter 1 in the second semi-final will be, I'm just making sure they're all in there. There's a second. Aiden Stephen. So we've got kind of a wrestler. Oh no, I was about to say this is a semi-final. I'm getting confused myself with the draw. So semi-final 2, Aiden Stephen. So Shirzad Kadrian is in semi-final 1. Aiden Stephen is in semi-final 2.
So now we're going to draw Shirzad's opponent.
Shirzad's opponent. So semi-final 1's fighter to face Shirzad Kadrian is Wesley Maia. So we've got a rematch there. Shirzad Kadrian will be fighting Wesley Maia in a rematch for that first semi-final. I believe now we're going to try and find out Aiden's opponent.
Correct.
Aiden's opponent. So fighter 2 for semi-final 2 is, if I can see it, Alexander Luff. So Alexander Luff will be taking on Aiden Stephen.
Okay, so I think we just draw the reserve fighters out just to confirm.
We draw the reserve fighters.
Everything is as it is, but essentially what we have here is an all-Italian reserve bout between Michele Martignoni and Alessandro Giordano, which is very exciting.
Just to prove that, Alessandro Giordano, you are fighter 1 in the reserve fight. And we should have here, yes, Michele Martignoni, fighter 2 in the reserve fight. Now, you can understand why maybe fighters drawn in a reserve fight might be a bit frustrated. However, there's a lot of history of reserve fighters fighting in finals of tournaments previously.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example would be Chris Fields, a former Cage Warriors middleweight champion, won that title in the finals of a tournament where he was not the scheduled finalist. He'd actually competed in the tournament himself, earlier been eliminated and then stepped back in. But we've had multiple one-night tournaments where the reserve fighters ended up in the final. We've not had a reserve fighter win yet, but I think if you look at the quality of the two reserve fighters in this tournament, this is absolutely insane. The level of talent in this tournament is absolutely stacked. One of the most important things for us about guys fighting twice in one night is that they are properly medically cleared before they compete again. So they will essentially receive the full post-fight medical that they would receive if they were just heading home. And if the doctor says you need to rest for 30 days, if you've taken too much damage, if you have a cut, if you have an injury, a broken hand, a broken foot, you're not going to be allowed to compete in that bout. So that's the importance of having these reserve fighters here. And as we say, we do not know what is going to happen. We could have guys running through these fights really, really quickly, not getting hurt, or we could have guys going out there and having 3-round wars. All of a sudden, we've got to call on that reserve fighter to step in. So that's part of the chaos of these tournaments and why they're so exciting.
Well, look, we'd like to get, if we can, Stu, some reactions from fighters on Zoom. Can we see them there? We've got Stu's beautiful face there on the screen.
You don't want that.
We don't need that. Is there anyone there that we can chat to? Hold the line, caller.
So we have Shirzad there.
So, I mean, Shirzad is there. Alessandro is there. Shirzad, could you turn your phone landscape, please? And if you could unmute yourself, how do you feel about taking on Wesley Meyer in a rematch? You're on mute, mate. Go unmute yourself. Shirzad, if you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, now my voice is coming.
Yes, we can hear you. How do you feel about taking on Wesley Meyer in a rematch?
I think that is the amazing thing is gonna be happen because I have big respect for this guy, but this time is gonna be very difficult because I'm so ready. I have an amazing camp. I training with Khabib, with Omar, all the best in the not in only cage war in the world. I training with the best in the world, and I come back now. I'm so strong. I'm so excited to fight Wednesday again. This is gonna be, like I say, good rematch, good win, and good money as well. So that is amazing. I'm so happy for that.
Well, Wesley, if you can unmute yourself, what's your response to that? Shirzad's been training with Khabib. He thinks he's had a great camp. How do you feel about the rematch?
First, it's going to be great to see him again and make it clear. And all due respect to him, but I move different to anyone in the world. So it's good. I'm happy that he had a great fight camp. I'm having a great fight camp as well. I got some of the best in the world right here, and it's going to be a good fight. I'm excited.
Mate, great to hear. Michael Martignoni, you are in the reserve bracket. How do you feel about that? Knowing, as you say, what Brad said, that there's been many incidences where reserve fighters have come in and been in the finals of tournaments. Does it bother you? Are you okay with that?
Hi guys. I'm not very happy because I really want to be inside the first four, but let's see. So we have the case on our side, so we'll see. I'm gonna prove who is the best bantamweight in Italy for sure, and then we will see.
Great. Have you got a prediction already, or we have to think about it? Because there's still the 10 grand incentive, the bonus there. Do you have any idea of how you think you might predict finishing your fight so that you've at the very least got that 10 grand bonus?
Excuse me, the audio is not very good, so I really don't understand the question.
The 10 grand bonus that you might be able to get, have you got any predictions on how you might finish your fight against Giordano?
Oh, do you need the prediction?
We don't need it now. I just wondered if you had any thoughts on it.
Yeah, of course. This is gonna be an exciting bout. Yeah, I'm sure about it.
Okay. And Giordano, same question. Do you? We have to unmute you as well, please, mate. But how do you feel about being in the reserve fight, fighting a fellow Italian? And do you have any ideas about how you feel like you could finish this fight and get that 10 grand bonus?
Excuse me, I don't understand.
Sorry, that was a question for Alessandro Giordano.
No, there is. Yeah, okay, of course, because the audio, there is some problems. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. We apologise for that. Giordano, do you have any an opinion?
Yeah, can you speak? Can you speak in this side?
Yes.
This side. Yeah, this side. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on fighting a fellow Italian? And do you have any ideas of how you might win this fight and get that 10 grand bonus?
So, of course, it will be a war between two Italian fighters. You know, it will be a really war, an exciting fighting, of course, that prove who is the best bantamweight in Italy. I hope somebody get out from tournament to go in finals. You know, it is what it is. I would be in the tournament in semifinals, but it's okay. It is what it is. We fight. We're gonna fight. We're gonna do a big show. I know me and Michele will go to do a world great fight, and the best will win.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really look forward to these fights on July 20th at Indigo at the O2. Brad, do you have any thoughts on any of these fights? Is any one of them standing out to you?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because over the past couple of days, we've been asking the various Cage Warriors commentators, my broadcast colleagues, to pick their favorite brackets or potential favorite brackets. We've also been asking our fans to kind of do the same thing. I don't think anyone's got this one so far, but the great thing about it is every different variation of what could potentially have happened with this draw in this tournament, all super exciting. And remember, we've got the brackets set now. That doesn't necessarily mean we know who's going to be in the finals. We don't know who's going to win these semifinals. We don't know who's going to win the reserve bout. We don't know what's going to happen between the semis and the reserve. So it's going to be a really, really exciting night on July 20th. I urge you, if you don't already have your tickets, cagewarriors.com. And of course, you can watch live on UFC Fight Pass and all our international broadcast partners.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I thank you for everyone that joined us. Thank you to the fighters as well for joining us. Catch Cage Warriors Prizefighter July 20th at Indigo at the O2. It's going to be an incredibly exciting night.